A child psychiatrist interviews a girl called Su-rin at the beginning of the film. Su-rin becomes clearly anxious when the doctor arranges a camera to capture the interview. She wants her to start her story from the beginning. Su-rin begins by stating that several years ago her mother married Do-kyun. Her mother died not long after the marriage. Since then, Su-rin has been living with Do-kyun. He is assigned to a building project on a remote island called Wano. Hence the two had to relocate to the island. Su-rin never really has been happy after the death of her mother. She is not friendly to her stepfather and hardly talks. She likes to live alone even though she is enrolled in a new school on the island and has the chance to make numerous friends. Her stepfather is a chief of a tunnel building site. Thus he has to work nights. The people living on the island are not allowed to enter the building area due to the explosions occurring during the construction. Su-rin reads comments on her blog about a wormhole as she looks through her phone one evening. Su-rin wanted to flee the planet when her mother passed away, and while looking for means of escape, she became fascinated in wormholes, paranormal entities, and so on. She even discusses such subjects on the school computer and with others online. Her peers can read her comments and ridicule her when she leaves her computer unlocked by mistake. Su-rin runs across a youngster named Sung-min living in an orphanage on her way home. When Sung-min introduces himself and tries to befriend Su-rin, she dismisses him. Su-rin runs across Sung-min and his pals discussing her blog on the wormhole over lunch the next day. After reading it, Sung-min claims to have entered still another dimension. That day Sung-min tracks her as she makes her way home. When confronted out, he claims he believes what she has said on the blog. The two become friends out of a common passion in paranormal events. To talk with Sung-min in secret, Su-rin has created her own alphabet. They start keeping daily notes in Su-rin's diary for each other. They hunt ghosts all throughout town every day following school. On one of such trips, Sung-min invites Su-rin to a woodland abandoned wooden house. While carving on wax blocks, they tour the house and chat for a long period. Su-rin has fallen in love with Sung-min now. She shocks him by kissing him out of the blue. Su-rin discovers 3 of his pals and Sung-min arranging to visit the building site to view the explosions one day. She follows them as the children negotiate the forest to hide from the grown-ups. One of the youngsters' chickens outruns returns home when they cross the fence to the place. That child will most likely attend university sometime. The other 4 hide behind a cliff waiting, but are let down when no explosions occur. They stumble into a little cave whilst strolling throughout the woodland. They choose to investigate it, and one after another they enter. At the end of the cave, they eventually stumble upon a brilliant shining material sunk in water. Su-rin figures it as a meteoroid. Sung-min decides to delve into the sea and extract the element on his own. The item quiesces on being pulled out of the tunnel. The youngsters find it to look like an egg. According to one of the guys called Tai-shik, the egg might have belonged to a time goblin. I want some whatever Tai-shik is on. His grandfather had once informed him that a cave where the time goblin resides opens up in the mountains on full moon evenings. Anybody entering the cave will emerge out as an elderly man. Since they did not age, the other children reject his claims. Su-rin finds her gift from her mother. Her hairpin vanished. The guys guard the egg as she returns into the cave searching for it. She discovers her pin and also notes the glowing egg is back in the sea. She comes out confused to see the egg has cracked and all of her buddies are absent. She searches the wilderness for them till it dark. She must spend the night since she finally gets lost in the forest. The next day, a police squad searches the wilderness for the children. Head of the investigation is Detective An. Soon the cops discover Su-rin comatose in the forest. She is fortunately living and healthy. The investigator asks her what happened to the other guys in the hospital, and she relates all about the cave and the shining egg. Her narrative is not believed by the grown-ups nor the detective. She even brings them to the forest to demonstrate the cave, but she cannot locate it. It almost seems to have vanished are nowhere to be seen. Su-rin returns to her quiet introverted personality without Sung-min. She also is as perplexed as anyone, yet nobody accepts her truth-telling. She hears something outside her house one day. Checking finds a man sprinting towards the forest. She trails him into the heart of the forest. She collapses to the ground a few minutes of jogging, and the male stops too. He approaches her and stares fascinatedly at her while Su-rin freezes in disbelief. Speaking for the first time, the man states he is Sung-min. Su-rin snaps out of her stunned state and flees away crying when she hears his name. She tells Do-kyun about the man quickly when she finds herself in front of his car. Assumed to be the kidnapper, the police are notified about the occurrence and begin looking for the man in the woods. When Detective An probes Su-rin about the man, she finds he was posing as Sung-min. Although the kidnapper is nowhere to be found, The cops come upon Surin's diary she and Sung-min utilized, leaving notes for one another. She is shocked when she sees the pages since Sung-min's notes abound there. He has reported on all that happened following her underground expedition to retrieve her hairpin using their code language. Sung-min breaks the egg on the ground without waiting for Surin since the boys start to wonder about what is within. Their expectations are let down to find it to be empty. Sung-min enters the cave when Surin doesn't show up for a little and discovers she is frozen in her position. She doesn't answer when he tries to relocate her and strike a conversation. Moments later, he sees a drop of water hovering midair. Emerging from the cave, he glances skyward to discover the birds had likewise frozen in the air. The lads visit the town and discover everyone, including their families, has stopped. This helps them to understand that, except the three of them, time has stopped for everyone and so they are free to do anything they like. For the first several days, they are living in paradise. They eat and drink whatever they want, sleep whenever they want to, and play around all day. They grow bored after a month or two and choose to leave the island and travel to another city in search of whether they are indeed the only ones on Earth able to move. Their scheme is dashed, though, when they discover the boat would sink as the water in the ocean has also stopped flowing. Returning in the present, Surin notes that Sung-min was the man approaching her in the forest. She breaks off reading since her first concern is getting the cops away from him. She says she lied about seeing anyone in the jungle as they will definitely arrest him for being the kidnapper should they locate him. The cops believe her, and she keeps reading the notebook. Many months later, the men begin to occupy a mall tent. Jae-wook's asthma causes his health to deteriorate daily. His inhaler breaks down. He dies slowly one night in front of his buddies after suffocating. Devastated are Sung-min and Tae-shik. On a neighboring beach, they bury their friend's body under the ground with heavy heart. Jae-wook's body likewise ceases like the others after death. 5 years go by yet the world stays the same. The lads have lately turned into teenagers. Though they have been living in solitude for so many years, they still believe that eventually the world will return to normal. Sung-min thinks their time will restart when they become 20. To be rich when it happens, they pilfers a small amount of money from each person. Still, nothing changes even when they reach 20. They start to dwell in the wooden house in the forest and progressively get hopeless. One day, the solitude consumes Sung-min. He rants and pleads in a scenario right out of my COVID diaries, begging it all to end. Tae-shik loses all hope seeing this from a distance. Sung-min discovers that the form of the moon is shifting several days later, suggesting that the Earth is ready to veer back on track. He sets out hunting for Tae-shik but comes nowhere. He looks for him all around the island, finally arriving at the last cliff. There he finds Tae-shik's clothing on the ground and notes his friend had jumped into the sea. As a last option, he also leaps after Tae-shik, but the globe starts again at that same time. Rising out of the sea, he finds great fascination in the flowing environment. After reading the journal, Surin hurries to the wooden house, at last spying her friend. Though they are not sure whether anyone will believe them, they choose to share the narrative with the world. CCTV footage shows the police Sung-min in the woods at the same time. They think he is the abductive agent. Sung-min visits Surin's room at night seeking emotional support. Having lived alone for such a long period, he is afraid he will hurt himself in order to get over the suffering. Arriving at the building site the following day, Tae-shik's parents accuse Do-kyun of their child's disappearance. Surin is creating stories to save her stepfather. They think the explosion in the site killed their son. Surin and Sung-min visit the orphanage Sung-min utilized in meantime. Surin comes outside to call Sung-min after explaining everything to the warden, but at that moment her father drags her away. Sung-min tells his mother like warden all he used to do as a child. Though she is startled, she still does not believe him. Kyun locks Surin in her room at night. Sung-min frees her by entering via the back door. Running from the house together, they discuss what they ought to do next. Surin recalls coming onto a second egg in the cave. She advises she uses the egg and goes back as an adult to show the other Sung-min is innocent. But Sung-min opposes the concept since he understands how challenging it is to live alone. He would sooner be called a kidnapper than let her experience what he went through in earlier years. After discovering a picture of his daughter and Sung-min on her phone, Kyun visits the wooden house realizing her daughter is missing. He visits there late at night, strikes Sung-min, and makes plans to bring Surin home. Sung-min knocks him out, though, and leaves with her. The police check the wooden house the following day and discover the kidnapper is fooling Surin into thinking he is Sung-min. The police shortly locate the two since the story of Surin's disappearance is on TV. When Surin turns herself in to save Sung-min, a pursuit starts between her and the cops. She tells him to meet her at the cave before splitting off. Detective An tells Surin the kidnapper is lying to her, but she doesn't trust him. She runs to the cave, claiming to be wanting to use the restroom. She brings the brilliant egg out and presents it to Sung-min, but he declines to have it back to her since he wants her not to utilize it. He is about to own killing his pals and surrender himself in. As Surin chases him, he bolts into the forest. Police show up at the same moment and start chasing them. They pause right at the brink of a cliff. As an officer takes Sung-min, he pushes Surin off the edge. The investigator assists Surin, but ends up dangling off the cliff alongside her. They both fall back before Sung-min can attempt to save them. Sung-min cracks the egg once more and pauses time to save them. A few seconds later, Surin wakes up and finds herself on a beach with the detective. She understands the just action Sung-min has done. For Sung-min, it must have been another decade even though it only marks a minute for her. She is then brought back home. She calls her father Dad for the first time and apologies to him for everything she has done while dinner is being eaten. The investigator comes to ask how they survived the fall. Surin responds poorly, but he realizes she was speaking the truth all through. He advises her to fabricate a statement for the media stating the kidnapper had mistreated her. In this sense, it will be seen that those accusing her of killing her companions together with the abductor will be mistaken. At last, Surin finishes sharing her story to the psychiatrist. Listening to it all leaves her flabbergasted, and she wants to publish a book about it. Surin is relocating for high school to a distant city some months later. She visits the psychiatrist before departing and gets the book that has lately been released. Not so much for doctor-patient confidentiality. Surin runs to meet Sung-min she sees through her car window on her way to the ferry but finds no one. Still, the two cross paths on the deck some later. As they stare at one another, the film ends. Somebody describing a female who is neither ghost nor visible to the naked eye. Holly, our protagonist, turns out to be that somebody. Her younger brother and older sister are prominent figures in her recollections. Since she considers herself to be ordinary and lives in the center, she often takes a back seat. The good news is that her mom gives her the confidence she needs to speak up. Her mom got sick one day. The family was reassured by the hospital that the procedure was beneficial. But then her mother passed away, and that was the turning point. After losing her mother, Holly started to disappear. At home, it all began when she became the lone object of gaze for her family. She observes her father noticing her sister and brother over supper, but he pays no attention to Holly at all. Her father looks at her with astonishment as she tells him he never asked her anything. Over time, this began to impact other parts of her life as well. The instructor often checks the class for questions. Holly signals with a raised hand, but no one pays attention to her. As the summer draws to a close, no one pays any attention to her anymore. When she falls asleep on the first day of class and nobody rouses her, it solidifies her belief in this. No one pays attention to the girl, or even acknowledges her when she confronts her relatives. Her father lets out a terrified gasp as she takes his hand. "What happened?" he inquires. Holly, oblivious to the situation, joins the family for a photo op. To her surprise, though, she finds that she is completely out of the shot. Despite her initial reluctance, she eventually can't deny it. No one can find her, and they no longer remember her. She becomes used to her existence without sight as time goes on. Living in a property rented to a corporation gives her the impression that everything is completely normal. She is able to keep her employment thanks to the grocery delivery service. She captures naughty images of famous people and sells them to newspapers during the night. Holly keeps paying her family visits. At home, in the basement, her brother is making an experimental film. In contrast, her sister is about to tie the knot. At last, their dad made a career switch and discovered his true calling in commercial real estate. Holly never misses a Friday night supper, even though she doesn't eat with her family. The benefits of being invisible include freedom from concern about her appearance, rules, and good manners, as well as the ability to roam anywhere she pleases. Shane observes Holly one night as he follows a couple. An MMA fighter in the past, Shane. She is escorted out of the club after he confronts her about her pursuit of the couple. It has taken her by surprise that he is able to perceive her in all three senses. Even though she tries to stop him, he is told to come back inside by a coworker. She approaches other people, mistakenly believing that others can now hear her, but they all turn a blind eye. Visiting her mother's grave the following day, She breaks the news that someone can see the girl while simultaneously admitting that she is still invisible to everyone else. One particular recollection that Holly has is of asking her mother what will happen to her when she dies. No matter what, Holly can always count on her mother to be there for her. One of Holly's tabloid newspapers that she has been collecting catches her eye when she gets home. The main page features Shane, who has discovered cheating, kissing a lady. She suddenly understands he wasn't just a random bouncer. She starts researching him and learns that he was a former mixed martial arts world champion. Despite his unconventional background, he quickly rose to prominence following a string of victories in the ring. Their status as the ideal pair was further solidified by his relationship with Juliana, a well-known celebrity. When pictures of him cheating on Juliana appeared, though, things began to get out of hand. His admirers eventually turned against him, and the split was certain. He lost to his opponent, and that was the end of it. Returning to the club, Holly patiently awaits Shane's arrival. Angry, he flings the newspaper she shows him away. She owns up to taking the picture. After the photo destroyed his life, he demands to know why she is informing him this. She subtly reveals that she is invisible to everyone else and instead expresses her desire to make amends. Quite astonishingly, he demands that she rectify all the mistakes in order to make amends with him. Holly gives it a shot, taking him seriously. Holly volunteers to accompany him and his manager, but he tries to get her to leave. She has threatened to abandon him if, after 5 minutes, he still feels she is unable to assist. Permitting it, he does so. While in the bar, Shane suddenly understands that his manager secretly doesn't notice Holly. She provides him with useful information for the meeting by outlining the activities that his manager intends to enroll him in. His question about the price leads the management to mislead him by informing him that the price has dropped from $1,500 per performance to only $1,800. After Shane demands an explanation from Holly, he storms out of the bar. She freely acknowledges that she is unnoticed. Since Shane can see her, he fails to grasp her meaning. Holly steps in front of a taxi as it approaches to demonstrate that she is telling the truth. The motorist should stop, she says, if he sees her. She begs Shane to believe her, even if he tells her to leave. In the midst of the horn honking and cursing from the cab driver, he shoves her to safety. He points to Holly, but the cabbie misses her. The realization that Holly is actually invisible to everyone else finally hits him. Since he is too inebriated and exhausted to comprehend what is happening, he invites her to his place the next day to see whether she is still unnoticed. Holly reassures Shane during their visit that he hasn't always been a failure and that she hasn't always flown under the radar. Things will return to normal, she believes, if she mends Shane's broken item. Shane invites Holly to observe and admits that he is still having trouble. This fight takes place below ground. The victory is his. As far as Holly is concerned, the manager's $300 payment for the fight seems fishy. The reason, according to Shane, is his love for the sport. Holly suggests that he seek out more challenging opponents and fights in more prestigious venues in order to increase his earnings. But Shane is certain that no one he knows would be interested in taking on him. He is asked by Holly to bring her the list, and she promises to attend to it. After looking into the names Shane offers her, Holly decides on a competitor who had a brush with the law following a steroid incident. She invades his privacy by sending him a picture of the steroids he's taking after she steals into his residence. Impressed, she decides to drop by Shane's apartment to share the good news with him. He finds out he'll be facing that opponent when he gets a call from his manager. He presses her for details, but she dodges the question, telling him to focus on training instead. Holly uses the time she spends photographing Shane to help develop an image of him for the fight. He inquires about Holly's family after seeing that her phone has a birthday notification for her brother. As they continue to talk about their families, Shane listens to Holly describe her sister and then makes the suggestion that Holly's sister might be pregnant. In order to borrow some clothing, Holly swings by her sister's place. She sneaks into Shane's apartment and watches him square off against an opponent. Shane wins in an unexpected way, even though he took a 5-year break. He receives encouragement from his manager, who also informs him that the amount they had anticipated for his fight fee is not as high. Each of Shane's payments appears to have been significantly reduced by the manager. Once Shane gets home, Holly is effusive in her appreciation, but she becomes concerned about him after seeing his wounds in detail. For that night's full moon, he wants her to join him on the roof. After Shane questions her veracity, they get into a brief disagreement. She finds this offensive and claims that her existence should not be dismissed because other people cannot perceive her. Shane expresses his regrets and confesses that he desires her authenticity. He moves in for a kiss as Holly presses him for proof. A journalist takes a while he performs this. He shouldn't be concerned, Holly assures him, because she herself will not be in the picture. Their conversation continues as she crawls back down next to him, and the tension between them grows. They grew close that night. Holly finds a tabloid the following morning that features Shane and the shadow of a girl. She is taken aback to see herself in the photo once more. She goes by the name Shadow Girl. Shane will face his next adversary after this. The opponent's haughtiness bothers Shane during their news conference. Additionally, we find out that Shane has let his manager go. As for the Shadow Girl, an audience member wants to know more. The media is quick to believe that the female in question is Juliana and that the couple is back together. "I don't have anything to say," Shane says. Holly stealthily enters her opponent's limo after the press conference. She uses images of him sleeping with a minor as a weapon of blackmail. His withdrawal from the struggle against Shane is her demand. Holly hears Juliana phoning Shane as she swings by the club following his shift. Holly points out that he seems to be suggesting that Juliana is only contacting to ask for his help again, and he confesses that he wasn't expecting to hear from her. Following Shane's victory, Holly contacts her tabloid contact in order to secure an exclusive story about him. The guy says no. She switches up her strategy and agrees to rematch with him after informing him that his former adversary Shane was the one who had previously defeated him. He seeks confirmation because he is curious, but he can't find it because it isn't true. In order to get him to print it, Holly threatens to tell his competitor if he doesn't. In light of the rematch, he chooses to publish the news. Holly raids her rival's flat in pursuit of extortion documents, but she comes up empty-handed. After that, she drops off the borrowed garments at her sister's place. She goes to the restroom and sees her sister sobbing. Although her sister is reluctant to inform her husband, Shane was correct in predicting that she was pregnant. Juliana was at the lounge on a date, according to Holly's message. Going there for the inside scoop, she learns that Shane was actually her date. After Holly clarifies that she was there to see Juliana and not Shane, he accuses her of spying on him. Holly then asks him if he doesn't think that night was significant. She is insatiably interested about his relationship with Juliana, and he confesses that he wanted to know the outcome. In addition, he says that she isn't real, even though he thinks she's fantastic. In his defense, he asserts that Holly was also exploiting him for her own benefit, because she was unable to locate any information regarding Shane's former adversary. Holly states that she is unable to predict the outcome of the battle and concedes that this may be the only information she has at this time. She has been instigating conflicts on his behalf, Shane realizes. He yells at her to go away because he's furious that he can't see her. Everything goes back to normal in Holly's life. She persists in peddling compromising images of famous people. The news of Juliana and Shane's relationship reaches her as well. It appears like these two are rekindling their romance. Someone comes knocking on Holly's door one night. "Call me Shane." His life began to unravel, he says, and it had nothing to do with the snapshot Holly shot. Neither was it the only cause of his breakup with Juliana, nor was it the catalyst for his outburst during the altercation. He freely confesses that he became lazy and dishonest because he began to believe that the world owed him anything. After he asks Holly how he might make amends, she plants a kiss on his cheek. He steps back and assures her that he values her while also expressing his desire to change from being that person. His piece of advice is that Holly should accept what happened. She interprets this as Shane blaming her for her invisibility, so she takes offense. Shane wishes her luck in attending the concert and leaves a flyer advertising a rematch with his opponent before he departs. Holly looks in the mirror and notices that she is no longer reflected there. The situation appears to have worsened significantly. Shane brings her solace, so she hastily heads to the gym. Although Shane hears her rap on the window, he fails to notice her upon raising his head to look outside. When she waves her arms, he looks at her, but he doesn't do anything. Seeing Juliana give him a towel tears her heart. Shane is informed by Juliana that she is heading to the set. After the fight, He wonders if Juliana approached him solely for that reason. Indeed, Juliana confirms, but she makes no mention of apologizing. Holly remembers the mistakes her family made because she is afraid she may soon vanish entirely. By accidentally toppling a trash can, she finds a pregnancy test that her sister had discarded, which she uses to assist her sister in telling her husband the news. She gets to see her brother's experimental film in production and even raves about it. By tripping over one of them outside the house, she lets him meet a girl. Quickly, the brother rushes over to the girl's aid. Their father is Holly's focus, and she asks him out loud why he has never dated. It hits her as she rummages through his belongings that he harbors feelings for their mother. It wasn't just she that lost their mother. Even though it affected everyone in the family, she pretended it didn't and chose to ignore the pain her loved ones were experiencing. Determined to make a change, she takes out a flyer advertising a rematch between Shane and his opponent. She conquers her dread of the throng and arrives at the battle on time. Even though Shane is blind, Holly still makes her way to the cage to encourage him. Holly, visibly distressed, dashes into the cage as Shane falls to the ground. After the round is complete, Shane goes to his corner to regroup for the next one. Holly knelt down beside him and murmurs words of encouragement. Upon opening his eyes, he is reunited with Holly. Interestingly, others can perceive her now. A security comes up to Holly and takes her outside before the battle even starts. Unbeknownst to her, other individuals can now perceive her. Even though Shane loses the battle, he can't stop thinking about Holly. He ends things with the narcissistic Juliana. After hotel security detain Holly, Shane runs after her. He implores them to desist, asserting that she is by his side. They hug and kiss again. Holly sees her father as the film comes to a close. They embrace as he remembers her identity when he looks at her. Thanks for being with us. Peace. In a cozy little apartment, a man named Aiden had just stirred from his slumber. He swiftly rose to freshen up before diving into his daily routine. As Aiden attempted to turn on the TV, he quickly realized that every channel was filled with an emergency alert. He caught a glimpse of a helicopter that unexpectedly plummeted and crashed into one of the buildings. Amidst the chaos, a man named Brandon, Aiden's neighbor, burst into the apartment. He claimed he was seeking refuge, explaining that his roommate had started behaving oddly and had even attempted to attack him. Shortly thereafter, a news anchor reported that the entire city had plunged into chaos due to a mysterious virus outbreak resembling a zombie-like contagion. This outbreak caused red-eye symptoms and could spread swiftly through bites or scratches. Upon hearing the announcement, Aiden came to the shocking realization that Brandon had already been infected, as evidenced by the bite mark on his neck. Consequently, Aiden swiftly expelled Brandon from his apartment, leaving the unfortunate man immediately surrounded by others who had already succumbed to the infection. Aiden was overwhelmed by the chaos around him, feeling a deep sense of anxiety as he grappled with uncertainty about his next move. After getting a message from his parents urging him to stay put and survive, he resolved to endure for as long as he could, hoping to reunite with his cherished family. In the first week, Aiden appeared to manage his isolation by tuning into various news broadcasts from around the world that detailed the nature of these zombies. He also attempted to create a few vlog entries, sharing snippets of his daily life in this new reality. Aiden noted in one of his recordings that he hadn't spotted anyone else in the apartment building. By the fourth week, Aiden could already see that this zombie virus had spread throughout the entire city. When he heard a strange noise coming from behind his door, anxiety washed over him. What if the zombies broke into his apartment? Shortly after, he noticed that the water in the building had ceased to flow, and he started to lose grip on his thoughts, becoming increasingly anxious. He sought out different forms of entertainment to keep his sanity intact. As always, while Aiden was recording his vlog, he unexpectedly heard a strange sound. Unbeknownst to him at first, it became clear that one of the zombies had somehow made its way into his apartment. Aiden sprang into action, swiftly battling the zombie with determination. After disposing of the zombie's body, he quickly sealed off the ventilation shaft located above his toilet. After 2 long months of enduring solitude in his apartment, Aiden made an attempt to reach out to his family, hoping to discover if they were still alive. However, after listening to a voice note from his mother, he discovered that his whole family had fallen victim to the zombie attack. This reality shattered Aiden, leaving him unable to ever see his family again. Fueled by his frustration with the situation, he decided to step outside the apartment and confront some of the zombies wandering nearby. Despite the overwhelming number of them, he had no choice but to flee from their chase, narrowly escaping back into his home. Shortly after, the lights in his apartment flickered and then went out completely. It seemed the blackout had engulfed the entire city. Aiden's stress only intensified, as he longed for his family and deeply missed his beloved girlfriend. The following day, Aiden found himself contemplating the end of his own life, as he felt devoid of any purpose. Unbeknownst to him, he inadvertently caught sight of a stunning young woman who was, remarkably, still alive in the apartment opposite his own. That discovery reignited his hope, as it revealed that he was not alone in his survival. Aiden mustered the courage to greet the woman by writing on a piece of paper. She replied by introducing herself as Eva. She mentioned that she had been managing on her own in her apartment, much like Aiden. She also noted that while she still had a good amount of food supplies, her drinking water was running low. That night, when Aiden noticed the rain, he seized the chance to wash himself, having not bathed at all since his water supply had been cut off. The next day, Aiden and Eva continued their communication by passing notes on scraps of paper, careful to avoid drawing the attention of the zombies lurking nearby. Aiden proposed that Eva catch a baseball he had attached to a string, so he could share some of his drinking water supplies with her. Suddenly, one of the zombies appeared to hear their faint voices, and it started climbing toward Eva's apartment. In a rush, Aiden attempted to rescue Eva by diverting the zombie's attention, hoping it would wander off and ultimately find its way into Aiden's territory instead. Then Aiden urged Eva to head into her apartment.